I guess this picture needs a little defining. This is Dame Edna. This is Prince Charles, a.k.a. Bernice Becker, a.k.a. Mommy. God damn it! Look at me! Look what I've become! I'm skinny! I'm broken! I'm decrepit! I'm useless! I have no purpose! I died on May 10th, 2011. And I'm reflecting. Here we go. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a narcissist and a selfish woman. And I was often left to take care of my sister when she was 2 and I was 7. How did I manage? I had to create an order to things. I had to clean her. The poor kid had more baths in one day than some people have in a lifetime. I was a very good student. My teachers thought, this girl is going somewhere. But we had no money. I regret, like nothing else, that I could not go to college. My mother was one of the most brilliant, self-educated women. She knew more about the health plan that Obama created. She knew about blue-footed boobies. She knew about chimps, animals of all kinds. She was a really incredible woman. Another regret that I have is that I married the wrong man. And you would think that this wouldn't be such a big deal for my children. What is the big deal? They're so sensitive, my daughters. What is the big deal that I say, I didn't love your father? Can you imagine? You know? I just was too sensitive. And my poor father, at the end of his life, rest in peace, didn't know who we were. But I walked in the room, and I'm talking to him, and I said, Dad, who's this? Goddamn son of a bitch bastard, you should choke and croak! Bernice! I had 3 children. Joni was the oldest. I had twins 5 years later. So here's another thing. What is so wrong with saying, you kids nearly ate me up alive? It was true. Face life. That's what it was. What's the big deal? My daughter's so sensitive. She sits me down. She's like 30 years old. She sits me down and she says, tell me something good about having twins. Oh, God. So I said, well, you know, you were 2 babies. I had to organize who did I feed. I had all the bottles lined up. I had your clothes clean. You were spick and span. All right. You were 2 of the most beautiful babies I've ever seen in my life. And I was so proud to be your mother. Thank you. We lived in the projects in Brooklyn. They were just built. They were very safe. They were really nice. Millions of kids around. You could keep your door open during the day. We had a very good sense of security. But I went into the elevator one day, coming back from schlepping my shopping cart, 6 bags of groceries. I go into the elevator. This young man walks in. The elevator door closes. He said, "Give me your money." I said, "What the fuck are you coming to the projects for? To rip people off? You don't have any money here." So he pulls out a knife. Now I'm pissed. And I said, "Don't get so dramatic." Mom, dramatic is being stabbed to death in the elevator. It turns out all 3 of my children were gay. 1960s. I have to protect my children. I have to make the world safe for my children. I didn't know what to do. There was nothing. There was no internet. There were no groups. There was nothing for the parents. So I went to my rabbi. And I said, "Rabbi, how do I help my children?" He said, "Bernice, your children are sick, and you need to get them help." "Oh, really?" My mother, the atheist. "Who was your rabbi?" I was just making a point. And the point that I was making was that organized religion is homophobic. My son Marty died of a suicide, and I moved to San Francisco to be with my children, my 2 daughters. This was in the 1970s. The gay movement was exploding, and I had to get in there with them. We need a safe place for our children. These kids were getting beaten up, they were getting kicked out of their houses. I needed to speak to the parents. We started PFLAG, or Parents of Gays, in San Francisco. So it's the gay parade, and there's a big stage, and I'm in the back of the stage with my mother, who's going to speak at the gay parade. Harvey Milk is up here speaking, and my mother is so nervous here. I didn't know, I thought I was going to have to straitjacket her. And Harvey could talk, and he talked, and he talked, and my mother says, "Why doesn't he shut the fuck up already?" And I got up on the stage, and I'm looking at all these people, and I get the microphone, and I say, "My name is Bernice Becker, and all 3 of my children are gay, and I'm proud!" I thought they were going to blow her clear across into the microphone, into whatever machinery there was back there. I was scared to death. But they needed her. They needed this parent to get up there and say, "God damn it! Love your children. I love mine." So I had my first cancer, which left me not able to walk very steadily. At the end of it all, I had 2 cancers, 11 fractures, and emphysema. Top that. I became very debilitated, and there were times when I had to have one of my daughters stay over. So my daughter Bobbie stays over, and she's such a mashugana. I take a shower, I get back onto the toilet, and she throws this big towel on me. And I hear her say, "Where is Mommy? Where is Mommy? Where is Mommy? Here I am." A really hard thing was you have caregivers. Either I had to go into a place with these people, or I had to stay home in my 1-bedroom apartment. At the time when I broke my ankle, and I wasn't allowed to be away, I had to be home. And I had to have someone there with me. You have these people from another world, sitting there and looking at you. Or they start talking about Jesus Christ and the church and what church do you belong to. You know, you could really kill somebody. It was horrible. So I got a call, and my mother's caregiver says, "Bobbie, I don't know what to do. Your mother said if I don't leave, she's going to call the police." So I said, "So leave." I don't know who's been in the hospital, but it's a rare experience. You're sick, you're old, you're laying there, this guy walks in, and he's looking at me, and he's putting gloves on. He's just looking at me, and he's putting gloves on. And I said, "What the hell do you think you're going to do with those?" I said, "You know what? This is my room, and you come, and you bang on the door, and you say, 'Mrs. Becker, can I come in your room?' And I say yes, or I say no. And then you say, 'Mrs. Becker, I'd like to stuff my hand up your ass.' And I say yes, or I say no. And that's the way it works in the hospital." You know, when you have an older person and they have surgery, they have, you know, anesthesia, they're on pain medicine, they're in pain, they've been, you know, stressed as far as they can go. And very often they pop and they get delirious. One day, my mother calls me from the hospital and she says, "Bobbie, get me the hell out of this hospital! I am in serious danger! Get me out of here right now! I mean it! I don't want to hear any arguments!" Mom. Wait a minute, let me call the nurse's station. I call the nurse's station and I say, "What's going on?" Well, the people in the rooms on either side of her crashed. They got very sick both at the same time. They had to be rushed back to the acute hospital. There's firemen, there's ambulance drivers, my mother's right in the middle, they're all in uniform, and she is totally freaked out, and I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Luckily, my son Gabe was home, and he said, "Grandma, keep a low profile. Don't make any noise, and they'll forget about you. I promise." Thank God he knew not to argue with her, which was never my strong point. And she trusted him. And their relationship was such that it worked. I knew I was getting decrepit. I knew I was declining. I knew there was no fixing me. And I knew I could make no order to this. I knew. You think I'm an idiot? My daughters knew too. They tried to keep me try to keep me home. And we would go to the emergency room and they look at them. "The fuck are you doing? This is your mother's 11th fracture. What are you waiting for?" We knew. See, I don't even know who I am anymore. We knew. We knew that as soon as she went anywhere, she would die. And that's exactly what happened. You had to see my memorial. It was like, "Bernice Becker, this is your life." There were 170 people there, and people came up I hadn't seen in years. And they were all talking about me, and it was unbelievable. It was like she was rehydrated. She went from this sick, gnarled up, nasty woman. And then all of a sudden, we remembered all these wonderful things she did in her life. It was unbelievable. So I'm going to a medium on November 28th, and I can't wait. She's going to a medium on November 28th, and I can't wait.